Now the next light I want to do is I want to create another light so that I get rid of this solid black here. I don't want this to be that deep in shadow. So I'm going to create another um, directional light. Take the T off for right now just so it's just simple. Okay, won't let me take the T off. I'll just move it anyway. So this light I'm going to move behind. So I'm going to change this back to top. And there's my light, and there's the directions it's going. Maybe move a little bit back this way. And you can see now how I've begun to fill that shadow. And the issue right now is, while we have this open, let's take that directional light and change its name to FillLight, since that's what it's doing. And I can close this out of our way for right now. So while the light's selected, I'm going to select the attribute editor. Okay. And with the FillLight shape option, so there's FillLight and FillLight shape. I want to be on the one that says FillLight shape. I can vary the intensity of that light. So I'm going to take this one down. This is my FillLight. I'm going to reduce it, let's say, to about that much. And maybe I could use Arnold here, and I could say use color temperature, and that would give me a blue there. But what I prefer to do is actually create my own color. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll make that color quite bright so that I'm sure I can see where the light is, and then I'll reduce the intensity. But right now I think that should be enough. Okay. Let's hide the cubes that we're using. So you can see now I've got that light. So here's my light and my key light giving me my core shadow, my reflected light. But you can see that the difference, or the shadow, is still really dark. Now one way I can correct all this, or at least in my mind adjust it, is I want to get rid of this theatrical lighting, this really dramatic light. Directional light represents the sun coming from an obvious direction, as if, let's say, it was the early morning or the late afternoon, and so the sun's raking across the horizon. So it's a very broad, open light, but as you can see, it's also very strong and stark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a third light here. I'm going to add an Arnold light called a sky dome light. Now initially, again, that sky dome light is very bright, and I'm going to take it down, reduce its intensity. So what I'm essentially doing is saying this is a light on everything, and now these directional lights are kind of modeling. The sky dome light is, as you can see maybe from the top, it's a big ball of light that lights anything in the center of the field identically or uniformly. So by doing this, I can essentially say now there's light everywhere, and then those two directional lights are adding additional information. Now I might go back to my one FillLight and add just a little, maybe increase its intensity just a bit. And maybe what I'll do is actually just lighten it a little more. Okay. So if I render this now, you see I get that core shadow still there, but it's nowhere near as dramatic. Now I might want to look at this and say, well, what about, that's still okay, but how about if I go to my, not sure where my outline, right, there we go. If I go back to my key light, and what if I push that up a little bit? What if I add a little more intensity to that? What does that look like when I render it? And you can see again, I can get a little more light. Now, let me go in a little closer here. So that's how you can render. I want to talk to, or at least get the lights for rendering using a 3-light system. I want to talk to you just a little bit about editing the lights a little further to make the rendering look better. But we'll do that in the next tape.